What is up, adventurers? Today I'm going to be providing you a little bit of a Plunderstorm guide from a brand new player, but also I have a little bit of experience playing battle royales and doing PvP as well. So doing this, I'm just going to give some tips so you can jump into Plunderstorm, do well in Plunderstorm, get some easy wins, but also do it as an active player. We're not talking about the wins where you hide, get to the very end, and then maybe by luck or storm, then you win. We're talking about actively playing those type of wins, because those are the ones that feel a lot better. So let's jump into the video. We're going to go over one of my previous VODs. But before we do, I just wanted to show you a little bit of not necessarily the abilities, but the drop areas. I want you to think of these drop areas less of as active zones. Of course, all these zones are going to have active players, but more of what kind of rewards are you going to be able to reap from them. Now, yes, that you will find more players in these zones because you do have like sort of world bosses in these zones that give you bigger loot. But just mainly in general, the higher, like the from red to green, like the more red, it gets going to yellow first and then red second. The higher it is, or the more danger it is, the more loot you are to find from this area. Less of active players jumping into this. I think people are still getting used to this. You're not going to have people totally occupying these zones. It's going to be the same across the board. It's going to feel very much the same across the board. I'm going to be covering up my webcam in this, so it's just my gameplay there. But I did not know my placement was so awful, especially because the health bars are so oddly placed. So apologies about that in advance, but I don't die here, so we're just going to go off of that. So just to start here, whenever you start this nosedive, if you're going straight down, it's going to have you go straight down. But once you level it out, you cannot nosedive again. So after you flatten out, so you're waiting for someone to come down, you can immediately like straight away and go quite a bit of a ways. And of course, anywhere you land, it can kill elites like you pretty well. So land on something because you want to grab those first early abilities. It's going to be very important. I want to open up just the ability guide just so I can say the names correctly. That's the main thing. There are a few names here. So I immediately grab the Aura of Zealotry. I like this one because it's a big AoE, but also it enhances your normal attack. Great for AoE. The first thing you want to do is you want to start farming early, and you want to gain, I would say level 5 is your first big goal. You want to get that as early as possible. Like that. That's cool. Because experience is going to make the difference for how much survivability you have, because you will not have enough health if you don't. The second ability I have is one of the strongest abilities. It's the Fire Whirl. It's under my number 2 slot. In that Fire Whirl ability, it makes you basically unbeatable. I think the only way you could probably beat it is if you cast a silence. So there's a silence ability that you can cast, or maybe skill shot it. But your movement speed is so fast, it might be too difficult to skill shot. I've found really no AoE that's as strong as that one. So grabbing plunder, just important for that plunder store. But I see that epic chest. I see a fight going on. What he's using there is the grappling hook. I'm not a big fan of the Hunter's Chain myself. It does do an okay amount of damage, but honestly, in my opinion, it's only a chase mechanic. Only a chase mechanic, not a fight mechanic. I don't think it works as well as you think. And the only way I think it might improve it is if you do that and maybe immediately follow up with like an AoE spell. I really like this one, by the way. One of my favorites. I like to basically have one skill shot ability and one AoE ability. I think it's a good setup for most builds, but this setup to me is my favorite one that I've used so far. So it's the one I just talked about before, the Fire Whirl, but then the Holy Shield. Holy Shield, it tosses it, and if you cast it again, it's immediately an AoE right where it is. So it can hit going and then coming back and then again. Always grab upgrades for your stuff. Always really important. The other one I have, I like this one. It looks like a little bird. It's under my first utility ability. So your first set under the flame icon is your offensive spells. This is your utility. Big one, but so under utility, you're gonna see that little bird. That one to me is a pretty good one. let me see what it's called. Call of the Gale Feather. So basically AoE where you want to, you can push enemies back, but you can also knock them forward. So I like the utility of being able to do that both ways. I swapped it out because I got an epic ability. So I will say having the higher tier abilities almost always outweighs having ability that you like, except for if it's offensive abilities. Offensive abilities, honestly, take the ones you like. Take the ones you like or the ones that are good or meta first. That's always going to do you a little bit better in the long run, in my opinion. So I'm going to upgrade the ones I like to the end. You know, even if I find something that's better than what I have. So like right now, for example, I could probably get something better than Fire Whirl, but I don't want to replace it right now. And the other utility ability that I grabbed, the epic one, is actually, let me look up the name again. Oh, it's not showing the name, but it's essentially a vortex. I wanted to look up the official name. Basically, you cast a vortex where you start, and then you cast it again. The important thing of it, of course, is that you can teleport where you started. I like to do it when someone's chasing me, but you can also use it offensively. And a lot of people skip that part because where it starts and where you teleport to, you immediately deal damage to. So what I'll do is if I'm using it offensively, I'll start it, I'll bait someone in my direction and then immediately teleport onto them. It'll kind of shake them up a bit and deal damage to them. It's actually a decent amount of damage too at the epic level. I wonder how much damage that does. We're already at 2 kills here, which is nice. I kind of want to speed it up, but I don't want to jump ahead too far. All right, we're just going to kill some mobs. Constantly farming anywhere you can go, but go for the biggest mobs if you can. This is going to be the big world boss mob here. So, of course, I see him fighting this. He gets the kill, I believe, but I don't remember. He kind of backs off, and I think I cast the Fire World. Yeah. Okay, so I think I might have yoinked the kill, but I'm not 100%. What am I doing with my life right now? I almost lost it here, but that AoE or the silence was very important here. Not because I silenced him with my life right now, even though that was important because I did stop the spell cast, but it's also important that I get out of this AoE right here. That was big because they removed that debuff and I wasn't slowed any longer. So when he came back to me, he was hurt. So I teleport back, teleport on top of him, immediately Fire Whirl, staying out of his circle. He's gone. Fire Whirl just does so much damage so fast. It's honestly very hard to respond to. Steel Trap's the one I'm on top of right here. Gosh, really By the way, you can mouse over this left side and pick from there. It's actually more convenient. But Steel Traps is actually not bad. The trap ones aren't too bad. It's just the you kind of do a disengage and you jump back. A lot of loot, though. It's not 100% reliable. Sometimes you jump back really well. Sometimes you don't. Ooh. Gosh, that is a hard. I really want to upgrade it, but I really like the Fire Whirl. I guess this one. So it's definitely a hard pick there. Pick up everything. Steel traps. Oh, I like that. It kind of gives you like a full menu. Still learning. Oh, okay, yeah, you can do everything there. Okay. Let's see if I can jump ahead to our next encounter. I think we kind of like right now we're at a stage where there's 10 players remaining. A lot of people are hiding. It's sort of difficult to find players. Ooh, upgrade. We're at 3 kills right now. All right, here we go. Here we go. So I see somebody on the hill running towards him. Here we go. He's level 7. I'm level 7. So I start it. Don't really use it. It's hard to, so this is the reason why I don't necessarily like both of the holy abilities together, as much as you may want to put them together, because the AoEs aren't good chase abilities. I think there's roots and slows and then AoEs that work well together, and then there's skill shots and movement abilities that work well together. I think it's good to marry those together, but not to intermingle those things, because if you're doing slows. Or like if you're doing skill shots and then you're doing slows, it's not going to improve your skill shots all that much. How many people are left? I'd much rather be moving fast than to move someone else slow. That was an easy kill. We're just doing some additional farming here. I think I get to level 9 or level 8 here. 6 players. There's a big fight going on down there, but I want to kind of gauge the situation a little bit better. I think this is where I get to level 8. Yeah. There we go. Increasing health, damage of your abilities increase as well. So really important to get those levels if you can help it. They're fighting. We're going to get involved here. Skill shot into it. AoE, it's done. Easy third party there for sure. Grabbing my upgrades. Do I grab fire here? If I didn't, I should have. Yeah, I think I grabbed the fire here. There it is. Now I have the combination I'm looking for. And see, this is something that confuses me a bit. So you can see right here. Like right here, I get a big chunk of XP just from picking up all this plunder. So looting is going to be important as well. I noticed that in the guides. I didn't really mention that like looting, but you do want to loot along the way. Gonna heal. And now we're not only level 8, we're level 9. Oh, I see you now. And these are the hiders that I was talking about. It happens a lot. We're at 6 kills right now, which is absolutely cool. Someone comes to jump on our fight. Hoping it comes back. This is what I'm hoping for. Boom. Right on top of him. Just kind of stay on top of him if you can, you know? I was hoping that would land on him. It didn't quite. See that the circles feels nice, but like if you're too far away, you just cannot use it. You have to use a slow or a grapple of some sort. Otherwise, it's not going to work on its own. That's why I like the flames, just because you can move a lot faster as well. Skill shot and the AoE burst right at that. I kind of tried to trick him, but then I got stuck on the cart. I think I got 7 kills now. Walls. So dumb. Got him. Plunder Wonder. Hell yeah. W. So, big wins there. As you can see, once you have a combination that works well for you, I recommend just kind of rolling with it. You're gonna run into the stuff that you're looking for, but to me, the best way to do that isn't necessarily just kind of finding every single chest and looting everything that you can find. It's more about just being able to find a combination that works and then find other people, because you're going to run into the most loot that way. You're going to run into the most fights that way. But once you know how to approach encounters that are 2 or more people, but also deal with encounters where you're being third-partied, then you're going to be in a lot better situation. That way, when you can escape a little bit better. We didn't even really talk about inventory items, but a lot of them are like escape mechanics as well as chase mechanics, usually for the most part. So including those is going to be really important, also as well as using your brew. So like, of course you want to use your base attack, and that's really important, but your brew is available every 30 seconds. It's gonna be really important to kind of have that at the ready. And I would rather someone brew going into a fight and then it be ready again, maybe mid-fight, versus holding on to it in the hopes that it's ready right at the beginning. Just because using it early and starting at full health is going to win you a lot more encounters than trying to wait on it and hoping that you can use it mid-fight, just because it can largely be the difference. A lot of the times you're going to inch away a lot of times out of fights just from strafing and strafe keying out of a fight. So a lot of people aren't quite used to the movements who don't do PvP a lot, but I immediately unbound turn keys and I strafe away. I just turn my key with my right click and drag, and I strafe away. Easy enough, and that can get you out of enough of fights without any abilities whatsoever. Add an ability to do that and some movement speed or a slow on your enemy, and you got it. You got it for sure. Now, I didn't talk about every single ability, I didn't talk about every single combination, but like I said before, jumping into some of these abilities here, look for your abilities, your offensive abilities that deal AoEs, but also something that changes your movement speed or your enemy's movement speed. So your enemy's movement speed down or yours up. I like to put together skill shots with some sort of movement speed That way I can get away and get those skill shots. I like to mesh slowdowns with AoEs because then I can get someone slowed and then it can stay in my circle and get that full effect of damage. Some of the ones I don't like a whole lot, for example, are like Toxic Smackerel, Storm Archon. Even though it's 3 abilities, a lot of these abilities, even though they say instant, take a while to load up and they're hard to get correct. Slicing Winds, it's good when it hits, but just like some of the trap abilities, its distance that it gains is super variable. It feels super weird. Sometimes you get some very small collision with the ground and you get almost 0 distance with it. Doesn't feel good a lot. Searing Axe is decent. Storm Arm is decent. Rhyme Arrow feels very much the same in that whenever you cast it and it hits, sure, it's decent, but it in the same way, it doesn't feel as strong as some of the other abilities because it's a guaranteed hit. So I feel like that's why its damage is not that great. Manosphere, it's very much a skill shot to get it right, but it's very much easier to hit. If you're not great at skill shots, using Manosphere I think is a good place to start. Aura of Zealotry I think is a great start for any beginner, like the start of any round, just because it's going to help you clear out mobs and get XP. That's great. Celestial Barrage, one of my favorites. It charges up, but its range is insane. Great for chases and is a skill shot, but it is very difficult to aim as a skill shot. More of for the range. If you have range, someone's running away, and they're not strafing back and forth. Very easy to escape fights as long as you turn the camera around with left click and drag, and then just strafing. Make sure your camera is not on auto follow, by the way. Please do that. Some notable utility abilities. I talked about, of course, the silence. To me, that's one of my favorites. Snowdrift doesn't feel as good as you think because you have to be near someone in order to do it. Windstorm is one of the strongest, most OP utility abilities. I myself haven't used it a whole ton, but the amount it stuns is brutal. Just be careful because it only stuns the first enemy struck, so make sure you have a clear shot on that, but it is brutal when you get that hit. So my personal favorites: Windstorm, Call of the Gale Feather, and Repel. Of the offensive spells, I like Fire Whirl, Manosphere, Holy Shield, and then maybe Celestial Barrage or of Zealotry, kind of even on the low end though. But of course, I didn't cover everything. There's a lot of rewards that you can get, but we're not talking about that. We're just talking about basic quality of life, how you can get easy wins, but also get some decent kills in there and decent fights as well. So hope you're enjoying Plunderstorm. And of course, to come is going to be my first thoughts on Plunderstorm, the things I like, dislike, and some of my first initial thoughts about the game entirely as it is. So let me know in the comments, what do you think about the guide? And if you would like further guides on this type of stuff, this is a limited time event, so it's not going on for super long. But until next time, I hope you enjoyed the video, but I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.